What's up, gang? It's Eric Hatch with Robby T of Hatch Coaching out of Fargo, North Dakota. And where you've most likely been where you're intending to go. We've had the privilege of helping to lead a top 50 real estate team in the country the last 4 years. And now we're influencing some of the top realtors via Hatch Coaching. It's been a wild ride and we are just getting started. Robby, my man, we are in the middle of COVID chaos right now.
Yeah.
And we just dropped a video, hopefully people digested it already, about how to master the COVID conversation.
Yeah.
So we've identified people that we're talking to and that maybe have real estate interests.
Mm-hmm.
How do we follow up with them now? Because it probably looks different than all the other stuff you've preached for years.
Yeah, it's really unique. Well, first off, let's talk about this. The reality is that if you call a random lead, the most common thing you're hearing, and it's very legitimate, is you're hearing a ton of people that are saying, we want to do something, but we're going to wait. And it's just the pause button over and over and over again. And, I'm hearing that from my clients in Montana, in California, in Fargo, New York. It's throughout the whole United States. That's the commonality right now, is people are just pressing pause until certainty comes back. And the problem with that is this actually, what I think this is doing is it's taking a lot of people that have real estate interests that want to do something, and it's causing a lot of them to press pause, right? And my biggest thing is once we get past this, and I firmly believe we will at some point, once we get past this, there's going to be a tidal wave of interest. The problem is I don't know when that will be. And it's actually very reminiscent, Hatch, of the way we played the game in November and December in our market. And for those that you don't know, Fargo becomes a frozen tundra. It's 0 degrees out, it's blizzarding, it's snowy, and nobody wants to go outside. And layer that on top of, I'm busy traveling, I'm busy with family. Our interest in our market in November and December plummets. We don't, it falls off.
I'd say it's crickets, but those crickets are frozen. So
yeah, they're gone. So what happens though is this, what's really unique is every year, it never fails. The moment the calendar turns from the end of the year to January 1 of the next year, it's almost like there's new life. And the weather still stinks. It's terrible out. If anything, it's getting colder. But what happens is because we've gotten past I'm busy with family between Thanksgiving and Christmas and doing all my traveling, we have this built up interest, and it's almost like a switch happens in people's minds. And there's zero doubt in my mind that is going to be what happens with this COVID stuff. But what's different is it's very predictable, November, December, to know that January 1, the light gets turned back on. What's interesting about COVID is we don't know when it will be. And there's no doubt it's probably going to be a gradual ease, right?
Robby, so it's May 1st today as we record this.
Yep.
And as of May 1st, they've opened up restaurants and bars and gyms in Fargo.
Yep.
And in the state of North Dakota.
Yep.
We have seen our leads tick up as soon as they made that announcement. So when we say we don't know when it is, I can tell some of you right now that if you're in some of those states where you're still locked down,
yeah,
the moment they start talking about that hope that things are going to open back up, and yes, you're going to be with masks, and yes, you're going to be 6 feet apart. The moment that comes, you're going to see an influx.
Correct. Yeah, and what stinks for some of us is we don't know when for sure it's going to be, right? We don't know when that will be. What's great about if I call someone in November right after Thanksgiving, they're like, yeah, I'm interested, but we're going to wait till, we're past the holidays. Great, I can schedule a follow-up for January 1st. It's easy. That's more difficult right now because it's a moving target with COVID. We opened up, like you just said, but the state of Minnesota, which is right across the river, is not opening up until January, I think, 14th or 15th.
May 14th.
Numbers months got mixed up. But what's interesting is they could delay it again. And there's that real possibility. It's a moving target. So here's what I'm advising, all right, is first off, the reason I bring this all up is the vast majority of people you're speaking to right now, you're not going to be booking an appointment with, you're going to be scheduling a high quality follow-up. And what I'm advising people to do is don't schedule a follow-up for these people for more than 30 days out. Do not do that for any of these people that are interested. But more importantly, what you should be doing is you should be creating a tag or label in your CRM. And any of these people that are really interested in doing something, but they want to wait till certainty comes back, go and tag all those people with a tag called COVID or Corona or whatever you want to call it. And the reason you want to do that is when that light starts to become, and once things are announced to open up, when that happens, that's when you're going to want to start reaching out to these people. You're going to want to move that follow-up date up. Because if you wait 2 weeks after, and let's just say hypothetically, I talked to someone today and I scheduled for a month out. And let's just say they do open up in the next week. I'm going to be calling 3 weeks too late, way too late. So it's a moving target. Create that tag of all these opportunities. And what's also really cool is then in one button, you can click that tag or label and see how many people you've identified that want to do something. They're just waiting for things to get back to that new normal, that certainty to come back in some way, shape, or form. It is the greatest thing I've been advising people to do is use a follow-up date, but also know that you might have to, expedite that if they open up, like, Georgia did. Georgia defied expectations and then moved the date up, and they opened last week. So it's unpredictable. We don't know when. No matter where you're at, it's impossible to know when that light will start to come out. And you might have to move that follow-up. So tag them as COVID, or if you want to call something different, I don't care. But I think you see the intent of making sure you're lumping all these people in, so you know that you might have to take mass action once that happens.
So I've heard you say it. I've heard Gary Keller say it. It talks about building your pipeline, and it may take twice as many people in your pipeline in order to reach your goals for what you intended come January 1st of this year.
Yep.
So doubling your pipeline and now identifying those people so that you can stay in front of them in this short term is obviously a really important thing. Robby, I want to make sure we don't lose it. You've had a double, triple, quadruple whammy that you've thrown out there, and it is worth repeating here that people need to hear and understand.
Yeah, I'm telling everyone that right now you should be doubling down on your efforts. Just like Gary said, double up your pipeline, build it up, double down on your effort, triple down on the amount of listening you normally do. But the biggest one is you need to quadruple down on your empathy and the grace you're giving. What people don't realize is in times of heightened emotion, anxiety, people are human, and they might lash out at you. They might call you very rude names. They might say, "Why the blank are you calling me during all this?" You can't stop that, and you need to realize that hurting people hurt people. It's the rule of law with humans. And give people grace, be a light in people's lives, share love right now, because that's what you can do. And if you call with that intent, first off, you're going to get a lot more or a lot less resistance than you would if you're trying to be a salesperson right now. And if somebody, even despite all that, is still angry at you, apologize and move on. And know that that doesn't mean that there may not be someone you should be calling back a few months from now. But be kind. That's what the world needs is humility. It needs kindness. It needs love. So, quadruple down on the amount of empathy you're giving to people right now and grace, because the world needs it.
There's a lot of opportunity out there and a lot of chance for us to make a difference. So on behalf of Robby T, I'm Erik Hatch with Hatch Coaching, reminding you this and every day to go and do good.